Hello, my name is Brett. I'm tech manager for Ofer, and we are going to be discussing EMFs and EMF readings, some of the theories behind it. Well, let's start with an EMF. What is an EMF? EMF can be man-made, they can be natural. Natural, of course, the Earth's North and South Pole. Trees, rocks, people, they all produce a natural magnetic field, an EMF. The readings that we take typically when we're doing paranormal investigations would be, the meters we use are for man-made EMFs, those motors, appliances, and that sort. An EMF occurs when an electric current is passed through one of those devices. When we're taking a reading with an EMF meter, what we're reading is for deflections in those magnetic fields. And a meter will read the density of those fields. And our typical reading scale is milligauss. We'll stick with milligauss. There's many more other scales, but milligauss is what your typical EMF meter, low-end EMF meter, will read.
EMF in the paranormal field.
Okay, spirits, in theory, feed off of electrofields, electromagnetic fields. And when they feed off them, you get a deviation. That's what we're trying to catch with the meter. Is any fluctuation in the field. When you go into any place is walk around with an EMF meter and try to find out what its baseline is going to be. Is it going to constantly read 0.2 milligausses? Any fluctuation beyond that could be a possible hit.
And also to let you know where there might be fluctuations. So during the investigation, if you experience a spike, then you can look back and say, well, we had a spike here during the walkthrough.
Right.
So it's, so then that way it can be explained away as could be wiring or something
right.
else.
Or if like you're doing a bar or restaurant investigation, did a cooling system turn on, a refrigeration system turn on, that type of thing.
Right.
Well, again, that all depends on who you're talking to.
Right.
Are you reading at 1 centimeter, or are you reading at 30 centimeters, or basically 1 inch to 1 foot? Because every EMF source, the field decreases the further away you get. And a lot of the stuff I've read, people say anything above, when you get above 1, it's dangerous. Other people say you're perfectly fine as long as it doesn't go to 5 milligausses. And then other people are like, well, it depends on the time period you're there. You can go 8 to 12. I read a study they did on a slug, and they found out in a 7-hour period at 72 milligausses, the cells started to separate, but the molecular level of the cells started to separate, but there was no adverse effect on the slug. These are typical readings given off of things you might have in your house, things you might not. Using the millimeter. Right there, this thing's reading like it's fairly safe. I mean, 0 all the way across the board. Now it's picking up, we found out earlier what it's picking up of is this transformer for our soundboard. And if you want to watch what happens to the reading as I get closer to it. So at, what, half an inch, we're reading 165 milligauss. And they're saying that anything, as long as you're at least a foot away from it, it should drop dramatically enough to where it's safe to be around. So if we came back a foot, we go back to 0, 0.8, 0.4, I could be. Here's a, they actually call this a ghost meter. Of course, none of these are ghost meters. They're just different variations of an EMF meter. This one they put a little bit of light and sound on, and it tends to be a little bit more sensitive. It only reads from 0 to 5 milligauss, so let's see what it will do after it warms up. We'll put it right back where it is. We got 1 milligauss right there, 2, 3, off the scale. This one, I don't know why, I don't know how, but they have it way more sensitive than you actually need it. In my opinion, it's more for the show. If you can get a reaction off of it, people are gonna like it a little bit more.
Wow.
This is something that all paranormal investigators need to look out for in a house, in a commercial building, is where the power feeds into for the whole building. Because like this building, there are computers that are running, there's lights, even your emergency lighting for like the exit lights and stuff are drawing a current through here. And in this corner of the building, there are employees that won't go in here because they get that odd, spooky feeling. So we can consider this a fear cage area. It has high EMFs, and sensitive people will react to it. But this is where all the power, this whole corner of the building, as long as you stay along these walls, you'll get readings.
So this would be an area where, like if someone, like you said before, if someone's sensitive to EMFs, if they had to come back here or near here, they could get a creepy feeling.
Yep.
And then they'd say, well,
hairs on the back of their neck standing up.
feel like they're being watched.
Somebody watching them.
Right. And then so we'd come in for an investigation, and they'd say, well, there's something going on in that hallway over there.
And that's exactly what happened.
Right.
A couple of the employees, I said, we're going to go look at the basement. They go, well, definitely check out that back corner. I got a creepy feeling there. I don't like even going back there. When you enter a building, always scan for your base reading. Find out where the spikes are before you do your investigation. Find out where the breaker boxes are, the power boxes. Find out where the electricity comes in for the house, because those are going to run high for EMFs. Get as much equipment running as you can, so you're not dependent on one piece.
Right.
Make sure you're doubling up. I mean, collect as much information as you can. Have multiple EMF meters, multiple thermometers, multiple digital voice recorders, multiple cameras, and do whatever you can to help out the homeowner or business owner. If your meter shows high spikes, it might be time to get an electrician in to check their system.